This one was one that took me for a loop and went way over my head, and I had no idea, and I was confused, and this was a question I just had to just go over because I just didn't know. I just guessed. So there's a 25% chance I got it right, but a 75% chance I got it wrong. Hey YouTube, it's Chantal, your homegirl, and today I'm coming to you with a video about what was on my PSI exam. Now, disclaimer, all PSI exams are not the same, but there's a chance you might get the same one that I have, and regardless, I feel like all of this is still good stuff to study. Now, backstory. After I took my real estate exam and I passed on the first try, check out my video to see how to pass your exam on the first try. I came home and I wrote down every single thing that I remembered being on my exam because someone had done that before me and it helped me out a lot. So, with no further ado, here are the things that was on my exam. Listen up, pay attention, grab some notes, screenshot if you need to. But these are just the concept. I don't have answers, just literally what I recall being on my exam. Okay, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. So there is the bundle of rights, which is, you always want to remember deep C, which is disposition, enjoyment, exclusion, possession, and control. Deep C, bundle of rights was absolutely on my exam. Then there was dual agency and non-agency, riparian rights. Now I have some notes within my notes, so some of the things I have in parentheses. So under riparian rights, I put you can't build a dam. So I'm assuming that's the answer to that question. So if you get this question and you see like a scenario where they're like, can you build a dam? No, you can't. Not under riparian rights. So, okay. Next on my exam was the disclosure of your interest in a house. Also, unlicensed assistants. You want to know what an unlicensed assistant can and cannot do for sure. Make sure you look that up because that's absolutely on your test. You absolutely need to know your fiduciary duties to a principal. Always remember COLDAC, care, obedience, loyalty, disclosure, accounting, and confidentiality. Some people say old car, but I mean, I really don't know where the R came from, so my book said COLDAC. I'm going by COLDAC, so COLDAC, fiduciary duties, know them, okay? You want to know private mortgage insurance. I put in parentheses, I got wrong, because that was just one of the things that I just overlooked while studying. So, I mean, I don't know if I got it wrong. It's a 25% chance I got it right, but like, I didn't really study private mortgage insurance. I was overwhelmed with everything else. So look it up, just look it up, okay? Because it was on my exam, it might be on yours. You want to know agency relationships and the differences, like how do you treat a principal versus how do you treat a client? Know the differences between agency relationships because that is on the exam. You also want to know about community property because apparently this is on my exam as well, and the difference of real and personal property acquired during a marriage. Know what a married couple leaves with after their divorce or what they get to keep as far as property. So know about your community property because that was on my exam and it might be on yours. This one I put, there was 3 questions. So there were 3 questions about the Sherman Antitrust Act. So you want to know about price fixing and you want to know about boycotting and all that. So make sure that you're absolutely familiar with the Sherman Antitrust Act as it was on my exam, okay? Next, you want to know about the legal test of a fixture, which is Maria. Always remember Maria when you need to know if something is a fixture or not. Maria is the method of annexation, the adaptability, the relationship of the parties, the intention, and the agreement of the parties, and that's how you test the fixture. And it looks like it might have been a few questions up there of that. So know how to test a fixture and know the difference between a fixture and a trade fixture as well. There was a question about advertising, another well, I guess there was a lot because I put lots of questions. There were a lot of questions on fair housing. So know your fair housing laws like the back of your hand. I put it's on Unit 3. Go back to Unit 3, review Unit 3, know your fair housing stuff because I put there's a lot of questions. So there must have been a lot of questions on that. Fair housing. You want to know about listing with cooperating brokers. You want to know about Regulation Z, which is another thing that I really honestly truly didn't study because I was like, I don't know what it was. And I said there was a few questions on it. So know what Regulation Z is. That was one, I guess, that threw me for a loop. So luckily you get a few answers wrong, but Regulation Z, all that stuff, I think it was like TILA, those weren't my strong points. So yeah, that. You want to know the elements of a contract. You want to know about options. You want to know about life estate and RESPA as well. The easy thing is you want to know about easements. I put down by necessity. I'm assuming that means that the answer of that question I had about easements was by necessity. But regardless, if you get the same test or not, you want to know about your easements. You want to know about appraisal and CMAs, comparative market analysis, and also the differences between joint tenancy and tenancy in common. This one was one that took me for a loop and went way over my head, and I had no idea, and I was confused, and this was a question I just had to just go over because I just didn't know, I just guessed. So there's a 25% chance I got it right, but a 75% chance I got it wrong. Amortization. I honestly, truly never saw amortization in the chart form like I saw in the test, and it was mind-boggling. Like, if I would have tried to truly get that question, I would have been there all day. And you know, during this test, you got to take a few L's. Like, you get an allotted amount of questions that you can get wrong, so you can't get them all right. So this was the question that I took an L on because I just truly didn't know how to do the amortization table. But this is a heads up to you. Go look it up. I did it now, okay? You want to know about short sales? There was one question on meets and bounds, which is good because the meets and bounds unit in the chapters is like whack and very difficult and confusing. So there was just one question on meets and bounds on my exam. You want to know about VA loans. You want to know about a deficiency judgment. You want to know about special warranties and mill rates and discounts. Apparently on the next one I put, you want to know about when a title is passed, and I guess the answer was delivery and acceptance because that is when a title is passed. And you want to know about abstract titles, income approach, deed in lieu of foreclosure, and lastly, you want to know about the differences between a gross, net, a gross, a net, and a ground lease. So those were the things that I remembered being on my general national test. And if you're in Connecticut, pay attention to the last part because these were the things on my Connecticut test. And P.S., I didn't remember that much math being on my exam. I'm sure it was, but I didn't write it down, so maybe it wasn't that much. Maybe like 6 questions or like some unsubstantial amount of questions. And to be honest, math was not one of my weak points. So like if you can do commissions and like stuff like that, I'm pretty sure you'll be good on the math because nothing was like crazy to where I even thought to write it down in my notes. So if you're worried about math, I mean, obviously study, but to me, the math wasn't that big of a deal outside of the amortization because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was going on with that. So if you're in Connecticut, guess what? There's no math in Connecticut. There was no math on my Connecticut PSI exam, so no math. So Connecticut, I feel like the Connecticut test was super easy. And the first thing that I remembered there being a lot of questions on, more so than anything else, was, let me look at my notes. lots of questions about misrepresentation and fraud. So apparently they want you to know, they want to know that you know what is fraud in Connecticut, because that was like the bulk of the questions. So if you're in Connecticut, just know what's legal and what's illegal, what's misrepresentation, what's fraud, and I think you'll be fine. They want to know that you know about property disclosure, about CCs and Rs, like what do you do when you're changing brokerages. They want you to know about zoning ordinances. They want to know how many people are in the commission, which is 8. You want to put down 5 people in real estate and 3 citizens. This is one thing that a lady previously told me before I took the test to study, and I'm glad I did because it was on the test, which is about hunting and shooting areas. It's like a small section in the book that's easy to overlook. That's bars. But small section in the book that honestly, you don't pay that much attention to, but hunting and shooting areas was on my exam. They want to know that you know about disclosing to someone moving near a hazardous waste area. And that's another one that I spoke to a woman before my exam who took it, and she told me that was on hers, and I'm glad she told me so I can look at it because it was on mine as well. So you want to know about how or when to disclose to someone that they're moving near a hazardous waste area. You need to know about radon, lead paint, and asbestos, dual and designated agency, proper depositing of money in the correct account, and lastly, you want to know your brokerage duties and responsibilities. And again, there was no math, so I feel like Connecticut was kind of a breeze. It was like 45 minutes, and I finished it probably in like 20 or 25 minutes. So don't be intimidated. Now you have a general idea of what's on the exams. So disclaimer again, I need to mention again, all exams are not the same, but you might get the same one that I got, you might not. Regardless, I feel like these are good things to know anyways, and a good reminder of some of the things you might have overlooked while studying, okay? If you found this video helpful, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe if you feel inclined to do so. I have so much more content with you guys. I can't wait to share. So make sure you're looking out for my videos. I'm posting twice a week. And if you're still in real estate school, I'm doing some study. So I have a lot of cool stuff on this channel for you. So I will see you around the YouTube streets. And that's that on that. Bye guys.